Today I'm going to paint this Impressionist painting in the style of the great Claude Monet. And so I'll start by by showing you the palette. Okay, so I'm going to try and use a Monet palette. I did a little bit of research online just to see what colours that Monet used. Well, why not? Because I could use my own palette; I'd be far more used to it. But it's all about the challenge, isn't it? And seeing what you can come up with. And we're doing Monet, so we might as well have a look at the palette that he did. So I'll show you. He used lead white, and obviously we don't use lead white anymore because it's too dangerous. So I'm going to do titanium white, which is the normal one that we use these days. It's not poisonous. He used a cadmium yellow light, which is the one that I usually use. There. And he used two reds. He used a vermilion, which I've never used in a painting. I've always used cadmium reds or permanent rose. So this is vermilion. So it's a slightly duller but warm red, duller than cadmium. He also used a Coles red, a red madder, which is like an alizarin crimson anyway. So a kind of a cool red. Cobalt blue, which is the one that I usually use anyway. But he also used for ultramarine. Let's see, I want to make sure that I don't lose all my real estate. An emerald green. It's very cold green. Viridian as well. Which, to be honest, I find is a really cold green. Now, I'm not missing anything, am I? After 1896, he stopped using earth colours and black. Okay, so shall I be pre 1896? Yeah, I'll just use a little bit of burnt sienna. Okay, for my wash and my drawing. All right, there you go. So I put a little bit of burnt sienna on there. I've got solvent there, right? Let me put that on the edge there. You can't really see it, but there. Right, I'm going to start out with a wash, as usual. Canvas. There we go. Yeah, you can see a larger version of the reference there. Okay, choose a small brush. Grab some burnt sienna and a bit of ultramarine. I'll get a nice dark that way. So let's sketch out what we've got. Roughly an edge of the garden there, the edge of the lawn, I should say. And then we've got our figure, more or less like that. And she's sitting there, drawing straight lines. This is probably the opposite of the Carter method here now. If you draw in straight lines, you can sort of measure better. Head is there, but you can't see very much because it's hidden by her big floppy pink hat. There. There. And her book reaches out to above her knee. And her elbow is in line with her back. There. And then we've got a fold coming down from her knee. and then across there like that. And the thing about the way Monet worked, in fact all the Impressionists, as far as I can see, is that they didn't worry so much about the drawing as the building up of the mosaic afterwards. Okay, so, and then we've got the garden coming around here. And in this case, I would make sure that the elements of the garden support the figure, rather than you copying the elements exactly as they are in your reference or in front of you. Okay, so we've got this area coming up there like that. We've got the tree framing on the left hand side. We've got another tree coming up around there. In fact, that could come up a bit closer. That is quite substantial, that dark of that tree. That there, and then that follows that rise here, like that, and that gives us a nice square of sky there. Now, there's a nice pattern on the lawn. So we've got a plant pot there. We've got light coming here above, coming from her leg, there like that. And we've got this shadow. I mean, the chair is very, very, that can be sketched. All it is a kind of a leg going back there. That's for later. And then we've got this nice pattern. Which, if you were standing outside painting this, would be changing as the sun moved across the sky. Okay, so we've got a scheme to work to. Okay, so my intention is for all of this area here to be very light. The sun is on there, and here, this part is dark, and these parts are dark as well, but they're different colours. What else have we got that's missing? The book is something like that. Okay. All right, I'm going to fill in some of the dark areas. I'm going to change my brush here. Brush like this. Okay. It's like an italic nib. And I'm just going to do a notan type thing. Give myself a chance at just looking at how the schematic works in a tonal way. There, coming from behind her, that's going to support the colour in her dress. We'll talk about that in a second, actually. And the dark here. Wipe that back. Okay, and that is all dark. This is a very thin mix now. It's almost the consistency of milk. And that's dark too. Okay, and that shadow. Runs up there. There, that's the scheme. there's also, her face is just in darkness, really. There's not much to see there. Got that there. Okay, I'm not going to paint it in the realistic colours. I mean, around here, yes. So this is going to be a kind of a sort of a violet colour. I'm going to amplify the colours and the temperatures of the rest of it. Okay, and then my darks here. So up here, kind of blues and other cool colours, purples. And then I'll change that. There will be some green here, and then that is, to me, almost kind of like a red, purple kind of colour. Okay, so I'm going to start out first of all with the with her dress. Oh, the other thing is to note the lightest and darkest areas. So the lightest being the rim of her floppy hat, I think, and just under her arm there, and the darkest being kind of up in these trees and here. Yeah, okay. So let me mix up a colour for her dress. So it's a kind of, how would you say, a violet-y colour. So I'm going to mix that with the alizarin crimson and blue. It is quite dark, isn't it? Okay, so there, I'm going to block this. It's the same as any other painting in the sense that you will be doing a drawing, then blocking it, and then putting the details and the finessing into those blocks. There. And here too, up there. That's all more or less the same thing. A bit of a shadow under there. We'll do that later, and I think her leg is a bit further up. There, like that. Her face and is in shadow. All of her skin tones are in shadow. So I'm going to make up a skin tone. So white plus yellow plus red, the vermilion. But I'm going to put in some cool colours and darken it down with some blue, because it's not very distinct. Let's see that there. So that's there. Her hand and the arm coming up there. Do you know what? I'm going to lengthen her leg a little bit, or this part. It needs to come out further. It's got longer legs than I gave her initially. Okay, and then her leg coming out down there and her foot reaching towards the grass. Let's do her hat. So make pink. It's a kind of a warm pink, so red plus white, just a touch of yellow, I think. And that there, and behind her, coming down to her shoulder, in fact, so that comes down further, and the crown is there like that. Okay. The book is a green, so let's grab some of that Viridian. it's strange to have viridian and vermilion on the same palette because it starts getting confusing. the green is viridian and the red is vermilion. There's the book there, come down there like that. Let's put on that lightest pink where the sun's really catching the rim of that hat. There and up around there like that. Not going to worry about blue ribbons yet. All right, I'm going to block in the grass. So let me get some vermilion, some viridian and some yellow. And that makes it kind of a toxic-y kind of green. I'm going to add in a touch of vermilion to it to make it a bit more natural. We stick a bit of red into the natural greens and I'll block that out. There, under her chair. I can see that becoming an awful lot lighter later on. Okay, and let's make a dark from that. I'll put a bit of alizarin crimson into that green. Block that in. He didn't go very dark in his paintings. All done with colour temperature. So cool rather than dark. Okay. Now, there's also a similar thing going on up here. Shaping her hat. I'm still using a reasonably thin mix here. There's a painting called, I think, Les Meules, which basically means the haystacks. There's probably loads of them actually, but I'm thinking of one in particular. It's with a kind of a beautiful sky and kind of an unnatural sky really, but I think I might do something along those lines as well. So on the left, that big tree, I'll grab some French ultramarine and some viridian, a bit of red, make it dark, and block that. Let's go to the light greens of the vegetation in the mid-ground. Just a general green, very much like the grass. And that's what I want to support her. So, and here around the back. Okay. The actual plant pot is very much like her dress. Put that in there like that. And the sky, I've got to start out, I've got to start out with a bit of cobalt blue, actually a bit of ultramarine and white, just to get myself started. Over here like that. Now I'm going to come down through a kind of a gradation of colours to make it a bit more purpley there. There, and then orangey, and then yellow. Just for pig iron, because I decided I wanted to do this before the painting, you know, before I started painting, because I believe that you should know what you want to paint before you actually sit down and start painting. Have an idea of what you actually intend to do. So let's start. We're almost all blocked in now. Her dress has got to come down a wee bit. There, down. And that can go up there like that. Right, now we can start sort of playing with it a little bit. So, I'd like to do the lighten that grass. I'm going to put some yellow into that green, a little bit of vermilion. Lighten that. He was great at painting dappled light. Okay. I'm just kind of creeping forward really on this. Let's do something with her skirts then. Right, so just want to complete the actual sort of coming around there like that. That's a bit lighter down her arm, lighter on the top, of course. Lighter there. And I'll be adding colour into this as well. Now, here's a case in point. There's pink being reflected from her hat onto her dress. Here. So put a pink there, and also here. There. The grass is reflecting onto her dress as well. So I'll grab some of that green, lighten it to the same tonal value as the skirt, the dress, and put it there. should always look for these things, the things that are bound to be happening. No, reflections in white objects. They're reflecting everything that's around them. Where else do I see it? Maybe just coming down there, and maybe that there. Okay, and then some blue. Make that also the similar tonal value. And that would be reflecting the sky and anything else that's in the environment she's sitting in. There. Okay. Okay. Now her head is essentially, you can't really see much. She the hair is a bit of a the head and the hair both together. It's a bit of a blob. I'm sure she wouldn't like to hear that, but sorry. Well, this mouth, I need to make it dark, so dark, blue, alizarin crimson and green. That'll make a nice dark. I'll favour the alizarin. See how that goes. So that's from her sunglasses to her hair. A little bit redder down there, but I can see to that later. There, and her hand is kind of dark there. At the top of her leg. Okay. Now there's a blue shadow on her pink hat at the front. There. And then there's that nice powder blue ribbon. I think now I'll put it in just so there. There's a really light light under her arm. And I'm not really sure what it is, but it's there. I'll do it a very, very light green. Right, into the foliage. In the shadows, they're not intense, but they're green, or I should say it is a green, but it's a very bluey green that I've got here, and I can go along there and here too. On the top of the pot there, bits there. Just very brushy, not too specific. Just establishing some of these, some shape to those bushes. I need to grab that down there, maybe put something under her hat there, and then grab the light green and have that supporting the hair under her head there. The sketches that I was viewing of Monet's, when I was researching this, they must be kind of reasonably small sketches. They're very vague. Up here is kind of purpley, So why not do that? So cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. Gives me a kind of plum colour. That's nice. Not doing any flowers or anything yet. And that's the same up here. Grab a bigger brush. All very brushy and vague. Because the fun part comes later. We're sort of building towards it. So I want to go into that that grass, the shadow of the grass. So I'm going to actually make it bluer. So blue, a little bit of yellow. I should say cobalt blue and a little bit of yellow. And I can shape her foot a little bit. Although it's not a painting of a foot, so don't worry too much. Shape it there a little bit. We can establish that pattern. Shape that drape there. I think Monet, wasn't it Monet who said that every time he started a painting he wasn't sure whether he could still do it or not? And that's really kind of, it's a surprise, but it's kind of encouraging in a way, isn't it? Because I certainly feel that way. There, around there like that. Come around. There, and we've got a similar thing going on over here. And in fact, nice to put a dark under her there. Bring that grass just down a little bit, get a bit of definition in there. We start sort of describing bits of darkness in the foliage. Put a bit of darkness around her hat so that we can see it a bit better, because we're in control here. It's a painting, not a photograph. Okay. Right, I'm going to start lightening up some of the foliage now. So lightening up that green, put a bit of white into it even, just to the bushes in the midground, just to send it into the background a little bit. Put a bit of titanium white into it, especially around here. And especially around the book. And shape her there. And down here. And there are some cool greens there as well. And Viridian was made for that. Let's have a look. get us a bit of viridian. Just a touch of red into it, because it is a sort of a greyish blue, and so we'll describe some of that foliage there. And even here, some of the same plants there. Okay, and then there's some red foliage above, red with a bit of cobalt blue into it. I have to say I'm not a big fan of vermilion. I prefer cadmium. Okay. Around here, so there's a lot of this, like, what would you call it? Those beech trees with the red leaves. Copper beeches, I suppose. That kind of thing going on there. In here a little bit too. I need a little bit of green around this hat. There's a lightish green around here. Oh, kind of looks like a willow, I suppose, doesn't it? There. Okay. Sky. Grab some of that yellow. Sky's poking through there. Grab some blue again, sky blue, and mix it into the air so that it's not too, a series of abrupt changes of colour in the sky. I'm going to make it more seamless, I suppose. Okay, so we've got that on the go. Now there's some, I can complete some of this here. Building towards colour. Now what I would like is some more heat in the grass. Okay, so yellow. And I put a little bit of vermilion in. I want it to be light and bright. We're amplifying because we're telling a story, aren't we? Of a beautiful day in the garden. And what you definitely don't do is any blending. Blending will kill your painting. People just blend too early in the painting, and it just it does something. It flattens everything. And besides, paintings look more exciting with brushstrokes. Texture is a thing, isn't it? Texture is kind of this human element that you want in your painting. So I'm going to grab some cobalt blue now, and a little bit of alizarin crimson, and some white. And in the shadow areas, I'm going to start dotting that in as well. How are you doing? Before we get back to the brushes, a quick reminder, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and drop a comment. I love hearing what you're working on. It keeps the community growing and helps others find these video lessons too. If you'd like some extra resources, check out the links just below. I've got ebooks that take you step by step through oil painting, merchandise like t-shirts and aprons, perfect for keeping the paint where it belongs, and prints of my own work. And you'll even find original oil paintings if you'd like a unique piece for your wall. Every bit of support makes it possible for me to share these tutorials for free, and I can't thank you enough. Okay, let's get back to the demo. So I'm putting in some blue little strokes in there. Monet cross-hatched his strokes very often. So down, across, down, across. Okay. What other cool colours do we have? Purple. Let's see if we can make a purple. We had something over here, didn't we? So let's put a bit of white into that. Bit more white. And that's definitely a purple. So I'm going to put in some purple as a cold colour. Okay, and in here too. So you're not going to be specific to the to what is actually there. You're just trying to give an impression, of course. Another thing is to put some red into that grass. So it's a much more sunlit place. And you're making a contrast between the cool purples and blues and greens of the shadow and the warm reds and warm yellowy greens of the sunlit grass. If that makes sense. Okay, back into the bushes. Now I can see some colours in there. So there are some lovely pinks. So I'm going to get some vermilion and a bit of white. In there, spatter them around. Up here too. We don't know what they are. It could be roses. Could be triffids. What else have we got? We've got lovely yellows. Let's grab a yellow. Mix a bit of red into it. I'll use that orange over here to make them more vivid. Let's dot them around judiciously, because you've got quite a lot of latitude with this with this method of painting, because you're not being specific. Okay, up here a wee bit. What else have we got? We've got some blues, haven't we? Your cornflowers, or whatever you have in yourself. I'm not much of a gardener. Oh, I forgot this bit, didn't I? There we go, up in there. There are some lovely oranges, actually. Let's grab those up around here. Just put them in on top of those blocks. Okay. What shall I get onto next? I think I need some more cools in that in those mid-ground bits of vegetation. Around here, maybe a bit more white. So we're just giving the impression of lots and lots of stuff growing around. Okay. Now, in the background, we've got those plum kind of coloured trees. I'm just going to lighten those up. Some way to make things look distant is to make them paler, so you can use white for that. Bringing that down. I think I need some golden colours in this area here. A bit more red. Yeah. And once again, the same kind of thing going on in the darks. You make them cooler. So just use your cool colours. There's a blue and alizarin mix. It's kind of a almost like a trompe-l'oeil, isn't it? So you're just, the whole thing is an optical illusion. Let's make some more purpley colour, cobalt blue and alizarin crimson and white. Let's see. Even you can put it in around the vegetation as well, especially around here, because we want to send that into the background. Now I'm going to start amping up. Around the grass. Put a pink in there. A warm pink. This is a vermilion, white, but also yellow. So I might just see if I can get a cool green into the shadow area, see what that looks like. So I mean, she's sitting on in mid-air at the moment, but to actually put the chair in is the kind of the easy part of it. Really, doesn't need to be done until the end. Into these. Do a bit more with that sky now. And of course now I'm using neat paint. There's no solvent going into the paint. Put some sky in there as well. Need some more pinks in there, I think. And I'll go lighter again in the grass. So Okay, some more purple. Will it make it very alizarinary? See what that does. Of course, these paintings take quite a long time to dry because they're so. The paint is applied quite thickly. Push that up there. Shape her hat. I want to do a bit more with the grass. And then we'll go back to the figure. I find that this is a very therapeutic method of painting, actually. Once you get it, once you kind of established what you're going to do, then you start to lose sense of time. Put in some other bits of shadow that could be there. Okay. There are some shadows in the dress which are darker. There. There. Put a bit more blue into it, actually. Give her a bit of definition. You see those folds down there, there. She's coming up to her knee, there, like that. And down her arm. And above her arm, tucked in to her elbow. And now I'm going to do something with her hair. Her hair defines the shoulder. Seems to be wearing sunglasses, which you don't find often in any Monet paintings. Although they did have them, I don't know why. Eric Satie used to wear them, didn't he? Stylish gentleman that he was. Shape her there, shape her hair like that. I need to shape she's looking down. I'm going to just add in a little bit of warmth to her face there. All very indistinct. Can hardly make out her features. And then stuffing up to her there. I'm going to brighten the lit rim of her hat. Coming down there like that. And then there's a nice bright blue. Finishing that ribbon. And then there's a nice similarly bright highlight coming over the crown of the hat. Okay. I need a little bit more pink for the underside of our hat here. It really is a floppy hat. A little bit of a bluish colour there, and redefine the area around our hat with some dark. Now let's do the chair. It's a very simple shape. Got a long triangle to there. Can't really see very much else. And then two dark struts coming out underneath. One. Two, there like that. You're probably wondering where her other foot was. Just down there. You can't really see very much of it. As a sandal. Foot there. Now there's a couple of things that I need to do with her dress. There's a light over her shoulder. A few lights coming down her arm. Let's put that reflection of the grass under her arm, because that's there. bit of a dark there as her arm meets the cuff. Now I'm checking, I can see her, there's a light here, could be her other arm, difficult to see. Now there's a nice light yellow-green. I just want to amp that up a little bit. Obviously it's the grass being reflected in her dress. There. It's all sorts of colours. I need to shape that down because the cloth is just coming down below the seat. They're going to put in some gratuitous strokes. Because they kind of feel as if they need to be there. I still think the grass in light needs to be even brighter. And for that I need more yellow. Where are we? Where's the yellow? Here it is. It's got to be sun-soaked. And even up into the area here. Oh, one thing that we could have done. Hang on, let me do a bit more here. Veneri, any white flowers? And that might help things along as well. Just into the sky again. Pink in the sky. I love pink in the sky. Oh, and of course, we can define the foot a little bit. Might sort of do a little bit of work over here. It'd be nice to have that. Need to refine those chair legs again. There. Better give the book some pages as well. Hang on, let's have a look. Put that up there. It's funny, as you're painting, you start noticing things more as you go along. Yeah. Let me just adjust that. Okay. Put a bit of it's hard to twist my hand around the camera that I've got here. There. Right. So, just to recap, it's the same thing as ever. It's a wash, a drawing, blocks, and then into the blocks you put all your details.